Hi. This is actually a story I wrote a few years ago after a bad breakup. And my boyfriend, annoyed me so much that I wanted to kill him. Unfortunately, there was laws against that. So I killed him symbolically. But in the story, it wasn't me. Smell like somebody died up there, grimaced a small Jamaican woman, glowering up the musty stone stairwell in the first block of flats to the right, behind the iron gates of Clifton Mansions, on cold Harbour Lane, on a freezing cold December evening. The police sergeant pulled his fleece tighter around him and gestured for the woman, who was holding a large white handkerchief over her nose, to go back up to her flat on the first floor, while they approached the second, stopping at a heavy blue door where the smell of death reeked more fiercely. The policeman rapped on it loudly with his baton. "What are you knocking for, Si? The fucker's been stiff for at least a month, judging by that stench. To make sure there isn't a starving dog in here, Gary. Half the corpse will be in its belly, and will be next, now that the meat's rotten. I hope there aren't maggots. I hate maggots." "Fuck me, Si. Why didn't you tell me it might be this bad?" Si just looked at him, and with one powerful ram from his size 10 caterpillar boot, had the woodworm-eaten old door off its hinges, which fell onto the floor with a muffled thud. The two of them eased their way in, eyes bulging in anticipation of what horror awaited. They found it in the kitchen. "Decapitation," announced Si clinically, as Gary's eyes bulged further at the sight of the headless corpse lying prone on the floor, its gangly arms and legs twisted slightly, with a small vegetable knife lying loosely between the dead fingers of the left hand. Si fished in his fleece for his mobile. "Ostensibly a murder, Gary boy. Have to call the Brixton forensic team," he explained. "But Si, he couldn't have cut his own head off with that, Gary. Get real." Gary, who was now edging around the body, discovered the murdering weapon, a large machete caked in black blood, like something from the London dungeon. As he pointed it out to Si started speaking to the phone. Tall, skinny black male, gangster type, in a black Armani suit, with vulgar silver jewellery on its fingers, wrist, and what's left of the neck. Machete. "Oh, Si!" Gary suddenly screeched, stumbled forward, grabbing the edge of the kitchen table, and violently projectile vomited across the surface, narrowly missing Si's fleece-covered arm. "Sorry, Governor, looks like the new boy just located the head." Si retraced Gary's steps towards the sink and had trouble keeping his own stomach down when he saw the most grotesque sight he had seen yet, and he'd been doing this job for 6 years now. He understood the significance of the puny little weapon in the dead geezer's hand now. It wasn't for self-defence, it was for peeling potatoes, except that he had been executed in mid-peel, his head neatly landing in the water with the potatoes. Now that the head had been there for approximately 4 weeks, the water had drained and the potatoes had sprouted, taking root inside the poor bastard's skull. With one little spot obscenely embedded in the victim's left cheek, the dead eyes stared up at Si in a final plea for dignity. "Fuck me, Si," called Gary from the doorway, where he had retreated and was bent forward, leaning his hands on his stocky legs, which still trembled slightly. "He wanted to eat spuds, but the spuds ate him instead."